All right, guys, welcome to Tuesday, March 8th pre-recorded Zoom. All right, let's go ahead and follow up from Friday. So as you can see, at the moment, right, we had pretty much what we had done on Friday was completely reset, right? Zoom out a little bit more, and from the perspective of continuation, we know that technically we're internally bullish, right? Although you could say the overall trend is bearish, right? This type of move will take forever to transition into. Like, for example, you can see the transition starting there. It took about 3,800 days, a couple years, right? 04 to 2014. Yeah, they do take a very long time. So for the moment, right, I'm really just trying to play internally, right, that bullish scenario. So the only thing that's pretty much in the way of that now is, I believe it was a 2-week POI. Yeah, the 2-week POI that we had mentioned on Friday, that is currently being tabbed. And if we start to zoom in, right, from a minor intraday sense, we are starting to see some sort of decline, right? And the best way to acknowledge that is via mitigations, right, where the initial mitigation is there. All right, well, I'm sorry, well, it didn't reach there. But what I am acknowledging here, right, is the internal liquidity grab, which is signaling, right, the potential move to the downside. And as you can see, although there were 2 taps here, right, you could see that there is, although I wouldn't consider it strong order flow, there is starting to be some type of decline. But let's not get into too much of a rush, just because honestly I do see this being still considered bullish, when I'm also, pretty much playing devil's advocate here, right? There is still the continuation POI present here, which is currently at the moment where it's at. And I wouldn't be surprised if, for example, this could be seen as relative equal lows, and you could see this potentially rocket us a little bit higher. Internally, don't see much yet on M1. But right, this isn't necessarily something I want to trade. This is necessarily something I want to observe so that I can trade it. And as you can see, we are stuck in a range. And what I want to do within the range is just wait and see how it will show my hand and which direction it will be, right? And letting those lower time frame moves pretty much dictate where we will go, so I can merely find the continuation. So although we are in a 2-week POI, I don't want to rush myself into the counter trend POI. I mean, into the counter trend direction, especially when we have potential order flow still potentially rocketing us a bit more higher. And as you can pretty much see with EURUSD, it actually looks a little bit better in terms of showing that reversal in hand. So right, when I'm looking at this from a structure perspective, we already mentioned our trade from last week. Right, as you can see, that even trailed a little bit more. So as we are at the beginning to continue lower, right, we know that from a daily, right, we're pretty much free falling, but this isn't necessarily a type of place where I want to catch that continuation. Because, like, as you guys know, I like to catch those transitions, so I can catch legs, full moves, full impulses, even full retracements. Those all begin with transitions. So this isn't necessarily somewhere I want to buy, but I believe there is an inefficiency sitting. Use that as the invalidation, being the bottom of the zone. Right, there is a counter POI there, which could cause a short-term recovery. Right, because at the moment we can't necessarily assume anything but bearishness, because we've already seen a potential sign of willingness, be shown. Right, so for the meantime, full on bearish. Right, just a matter of timing with catching that rebound. But I did see a couple of you guys trade internally from the intraday sense, and it did make sense. I will say that it did make sense. Right, as we said, as we're looking at, you know, obviously our continuations, right? We obviously see the internal liquidity grab, the continuation BOS, right? Although it did not, you know, create a new high, right? This could still be, right, the overall leg, right, where this continuation BOS initiates the pullback, right? So although that could be a scalp continuation break of structure, it is a minor intraday pullback initiation. So at the moment we are still bearish, right? So internally we are bearish, right? So high, right, into low. So once we start seeing this, right, this be taken out and this then be taken out, that shows a sign of unwillingness based on whatever low is present here, because we see the internal breaks that solidifies the low, right? And that would also solidify the low as potential unwillingness. I'm pretty sure that's just the lowest low, but from a high low continuation, right, into, right, internal unwillingness via, right, the unwillingness shown here, right? This pretty much shows us a showing of a hand, right? And depending on how you want to trade this, right, completely up to you. If you're wanting to trade it with the first push down, momentum really is giving it away. There is your invalidation here, right? And then once here, even though we make enough substantial new high, I saw a couple of you did take a trade via, based on the invalidation in play, and this is currently about, I believe, 40 pips, 50 pips now in profit, which is really, really nice. So it's good to see you guys take those trades. 50 pips up, right? After the unwillingness, the transition here, right? Up until here, we were still bearish, transition into bullish, and these are your opportunities. So yeah, that's pretty much what you're looking for, the transition into the continuation, right? And the continuation could either be obviously a reversal based on previous trend, or it could be a bearish continuation. So yeah, very nice trade from you guys. As for AU, as for projections for this, right, we've already taken, right, a red. I actually wrote this, I put this line here before our Zoom. So as of now, internally we are bullish, but let's not get too carried away, because we do have to acknowledge that we are still heavily bearish. So best case, we do reach back into an efficiency, but I do want to see that continuation. I don't see this creating a full-on reversal just yet. We don't have necessarily the data to assume that, so we'll just have to focus on those continuations and be wary of bearish transitions, just because although we are seeing bullish move, it is taking, you know, quite a bit of order flow for it to give us that push up to the upside, which only makes sense because we are originally bearish. Just be wary of the effort necessary there for that bullish pullback. So when I'm looking at now AU, technically I want to say we are bearish. All right, sorry, that's just my door, sorry. So technically we are bearish, or bullish, I'm sorry. And the only reason what I'm basing, you know, that bullish, okay, this is messing up. All right, the only reason why I'm looking at this from a bullish sense, right, is because of the liquidity point that we had managed, right, to take out into an internal liquidity grab. Although our trend was bearish, we created a substantial new low into a liquidity grab. And as of now, just based on the daily time frame, what I'm saying, right, is immediate POI number 1, immediate POI number 2, just based on the daily time frame. And as you can see, there is a ton of volume within this range, so there's probably a lot of volatility internally. But right, as we know, right, just by looking at this immediate push, we didn't get that POI that, you know, I just referenced, right? And I didn't see anything, right, that would have potentially, yeah, there's the open is tapped there. I don't really want to push it, but the 50% wasn't met either, but the open is already tapped. So I don't really see anything bouncing off of, you know, where this is currently. I don't really see it. Okay, never mind, here we go. 8-hour POI, barely topped, right? And internally, right, pretty much what I'm getting at here is internally we are bearish, right? So I know that internally we are bearish, right? I know that during session today, we saw, right, the bearish continuation here, right, into M5SC based on bearish potential LG. Right, we take out a high, internal low, LG into, right, M5 POI that created a new impulse. Let's see what that risk would have been. About 4 pips into 45, not bad. But that is immediately bounced back. And because that has bounced back on H2, H4, that's really looking like, yeah, pretty big wick, pretty big rejection wick. So I really want to see, right, how our invalidation will be met, right, if our invalidation will be met, because there is still this here, but because what makes this a bit more unattractive is that we've already caused a reaction and a follow through. So if we were to come back, there's a potential this can just rocket through or, you know, continue higher. So it's giving me signs of, you know, pretty much trying to give a willingness into the upside, whether we react here, right, or if this is just unwillingness confirmed, right, and we just continue to make a new high because we are bullish. This is going to be very interesting because, as you can see, the main thing that I'm looking at here with trying to judge this reversal potential is, one, a POI, which would have been better if it's lower, but two, right, you see momentum here, then we see momentum here, completely different. It's much more slowed down, so it's potentially you know, like I said, slowing down, giving us a potential sign of seeing if you're going to cause a reversal transition or a continuation transition. So I'm trying to be very, very attentive to see. But as of now, I would like to see a bit more of a top, then seeing the conversion, then seeing a higher move. I just want to see something be tapped from a higher time frame. But yeah, with that being said, not too much for today, just anticipating potential POIs, seeing how we will react, and see if we can get, you know, a bearish transition midweek maybe, just because Monday and Tuesday, as you can see, we have struggled to come up higher. But yeah, with that being said, let's see how this works out, and I'll see you guys on Friday.